Dutch, along with his elite team of commandos, arrived in Contamana, a place located in Central America. Waiting for him were his acquaintances, a general called Philip and a CIA agent named Dillion. They informed him that his mission is to save a missing cabinet minister from a group of smelly rebels. Dutch accepted the mission and gathered up his men. After entering rebel territory in Guatemala, they found the crashed helicopter that carried the missing cabinet minister and his aide. Billy, the team's tracker, managed to discover 3 flayed individuals that were hanged upside down. They recognized one of the dog tags and realized that another team was sent there before them. Puzzled, Dylan denies of having any knowledge of the first team and their demise. Later, the team was able to sneak their way onto a rebel camp. They effortlessly slaughtered the unsuspecting lambs, but instead of finding a cabinet minister, what they found was a petite girl named Anna. Dutch realized that they have been set up and he immediately confronted Dylan about it. Dylan finally came clean and admitted that the real reason that they were there was to clear up a rebel camp. He concluded that the only one who could successfully get the job done was Dutch. And so, he cooked up a story to drag them in and throw them into the meat grinder. Since Anna was a witness to the massacre, they had to tie her up as a prisoner. Frustrated, Dutch and his men decided to proceed to the rendezvous point. Unbeknownst to them, they were being observed. While walking through the forest, Anna was able to escape from them. Hawkins, a team member, quickly chased after her. Right after he subdues her, a mysterious figure suddenly appeared out of nowhere and ended his career. When the others questioned Anna about what happened to Hawkins, she simply told them that the jungle was alive. Baffled, the team spread out to look for their missing comrade. While exploring the canopy, Blaine, another member of the team, was suddenly hit by a laser blast, which quickly obliterated his screen time. Noticing the incident, Mac, the team's sergeant, rushed to Blaine's position and witnessed a humanoid-like apparition with green eyes staring back at him. Enraged, Mac borrowed Blaine's gun, then proceeded to randomly spray and pray. Hearing the commotion, the rest of the team converged on his spot, then filled the canopy with lead. After the gunfire, Dutch questioned Mac, but his sergeant couldn't clearly describe to them what he saw. The others spread out, but they found out that the only thing they were able to massacre were a bunch of harmless twigs. Dutch ordered his team to wrap Blaine with his poncho so they can drag his lifeless body with them. Only Anna knows the truth, but she doesn't tell anyone. Somewhere in the jungle, the humanoid creature roared in pain as it patched itself up with its handy-dandy first aid kit. The night settled and the team decided to make camp. They strapped grenades on Blaine's body and used him as bait to lure their enemy. Later that evening, a weird noise alerted Mac and a black creature suddenly fell on him. A struggle ensued and Mac came out on top by stabbing the creature till it dies. The team scrambled to provide backup for Mac only to discover that it was just a wild pig. After the commotion, Billy informed them that Blaine's body disappeared. It dawned on them that the creature only used the pig as a distraction so it could steal the dead body right under their noses. The next day, Dutch questioned Anna about the creature and she described it as a chameleon. Despite Dylan's protests, Dutch freed Anna so she could help them. The team realized that they were being hunted like a game, so they decided to counterattack by building a series of traps from the resources readily provided by the forest. While waiting for their traps to trigger, Anna told them a story about a demon occasionally appearing to slaughter the men on their village and harvest their body parts. Tired of waiting, Dutch decided to walk in the clearing as bait. Suddenly, a trap beside him triggered, successfully trapping the chameleon inside a net. In retaliation, the chameleon fired a laser to break the net, and another one to trigger one of the traps set by the team. A huge log went loose, indiscriminately knocking out Poncho out of the screen. The chameleon broke free and quickly ran away. Disobeying Dutch's orders, Mac decided to chase the chameleon. Dylan pursues Mac while the rest of the survivors left for the chopper. After catching up with Mac, the two agreed to sneak up to the chameleon in order to kill it. After they separated, Mac crawled into the ground to stalk the chameleon, but he quickly realized that he's the one being outsmarted. Before he could get a better look at his prey, his brains exploded into smithereens. After finding out that Mac was dead, Dylan was ambushed by the chameleon, rendering one of his arms out of commission. Despite his best efforts to retaliate, the chameleon effortlessly deleted him from the game. Meanwhile, the remaining survivors struggled to flee along the forest floor. After reaching a makeshift bridge, Billy decides to stay and fight the chameleon. He threw his rifle away and readied his machete. Apparently, it has more DPS than the rifle. In the distance, the survivors stopped after hearing Billy's howl of regret. Suddenly, a laser blast flew towards Poncho's head, instantly taking him out of the picture. Left with no other choice, Dutch urged Anna to run for the chopper while he tries to lure it away. He eventually tripped and fell straight into a river. He swam away and ended up in a muddy river bank. When he stopped to catch his breath, the chameleon appeared not far behind him. Afraid, Dutch quickly dragged himself on the ground, which resulted in him being covered in mud. Due to environmental issues, the camouflage mechanism of the chameleon malfunctioned, completely revealing its alien appearance. Despite being near him, the chameleon fired a laser onto a helpless rat, then proceeded to walk away. Dutch learned that it couldn't detect him because he was covered in mud. Once everything has calmed down, Dutch emerged from his hiding place. He finally got tired of hiding and fleeing from the enemy, so he decided to stand and fight. Utilizing his own version of camouflage and armed with a fat ton of resourcefulness, he skillfully crafted weapons and traps from the materials offered by the jungle. Meanwhile, the chameleon was busy harvesting body parts from his fallen victims to keep as a souvenir. Later that evening, Dutch's preparations were finally complete. After reapplying his muddy cosmetic as suit of armor, Dutch summoned the chameleon by yelling from the top of his lungs. It didn't take long for the chameleon to arrive at the scene. While it was busy locating its prey, Dutch made the first move. He fired out an explosive arrow towards the target. Although it missed the right mark, it was able to cause enough damage to the chameleon's ability to camouflage itself. In retaliation, the chameleon fired laser shots randomly, hoping to hit its prey. After the ceasefire, Dutch fled the area, hitting a plant along the way. The chameleon used the motion of the plant to determine Dutch's position before chasing after him. In the next area, Dutch threw a rock to trick the chameleon in giving away its position. The enemy fell for it, and Dutch used that chance to throw an explosive spear towards the creature. The chameleon fled and Dutch chased after it. Seeing some green liquid scattered around the forest floor, Dutch realized that he was able to give it a wound. Smelling blood, Dutch slowly followed the trail of the green liquid. Realizing that he got outsmarted, he lights up an explosive before the enemy could attack him from the rear. To escape the explosion, Dutch jumped to a tree but ending up falling into a pool of water. When he emerged, his camouflage was gone, so the chameleon managed to pin him down. It grabbed him by the neck and proceeded to scan his skeletal structure. Mesmerized by his angular jaw, the chameleon decided to let him go. The chameleon walked back a little and slowly took off its mask for the final round, completely revealing its final form. After that, the boss fight continued into a melee brawl. Against overwhelming odds, Dutch tried to retaliate with a back fist but to no avail. Due to its superior build, it effortlessly pummeled Dutch into a pulp. Realizing he couldn't possibly win against it, Dutch slowly crawled towards a crevice, luring the enemy to it. Once he reached the right position to activate his trap, Dutch taunts the enemy to quickly come and kill him. But to his surprise, the chameleon comprehended his strategy and avoided his trap. Thinking that it outsmarted its prey, the chameleon let its guard down and jumped near Dutch's position. Luckily, Dutch has another trap there just waiting to be triggered. In an instant, Dutch found the trigger and quickly set it off, dislodging the trap and severely wounding the unsuspecting victim beneath it. To finally end the fight, he grabbed a rock intending to drop it on the chameleon's face. But at the last moment, he decided not to do it, giving enough time for the chameleon to trigger some kind of mechanism on its left arm. The chameleon's gauntlet began to tick, followed by its ominous laughter. Instinctively, Dutch quickly ran away from the area as far as he could. Luckily, Dutch was able to jump into a ditch before the bomb finally exploded. After the dust has settled, Dutch stood in a clearing, savoring his moment of triumph over the creature from outer space. Just in time, the chopper arrived and picked him up. On board the chopper was General Phillips and the petite girl named Anna.